Hey everybody, it's Dana, and I'm so glad you're back at my channel today. I am so excited to share some cards using, drumroll please, the Kristina Werner collection with Concord and Ninth. I am so stoked about this collection. All right, let's get into the products. We have berries and leaves stencil. This is my all-time favorite stencil. We'll be using this one today. It makes beautiful cards. You can use one stencil or you can use the stencils 2 to 4 to make layers. This here is the Mary Trees dies. I'm going to flip this over you so you can see just how gorgeous this is. Absolutely stunning die. I love this large Mary. And it also comes with a coordinating stamp set, which is fantastic, as well as a stencil. This is a great bundle for you to grab to make some of your holiday cards. Next, we have the gift bow dies. Look how gorgeous these bows are. And they're big enough to fit on a standard A2 card or a 5x7 card. Love this, Kristina. This is perfect. Now we have the winter berries stem layering die. This is a smaller die that works great with your A2 cards, but then we also have this gentle berry stem layering die, which is perfect for your 5x7 cards. Now you can use both of the dies on whatever size cards, they work perfectly. And then we have the Merry Greetings Builder stamps. I love this stamp set, you guys. Absolutely love this stamp set. We're going to be using this stamp set today as well. All right, everybody. I kind of went through everything. Oh, I forgot one more. I forgot that I had already started using this. This here is the Peace, Love, Joy dies. I absolutely love these. These are like little frames, and you're going to see me use this as well on a card today. All right, I'm so excited. Let's get started. I'm going to be using some powdered ink today, some poppy ink today, and parsley ink, as well as some of the powder paper. This color is such a beautiful light blue. Now, all the products that I am using for my paper and my inks are from Concord and Ninth. And I'm going to grab out my large sticky mat here. Now, the paper I'm putting down is a half of a sheet of a full sheet of paper. So it's half of a 8.5 by 11. And this is why I love these stencils, because they're large enough to fill up this size paper. So I'm going to be able to get 2 cards out of this. I really quickly just want to show you the layering stencils here. But what's so cool, I'm going to tilt this and you can kind of see indentations. And that shows you how everything lines up on the stencil. So you can see the lines right there. And I love having that in these kinds of stencils. You're guaranteed to be able to line everything up correctly. Now, I am only going to be using 3 of the stencils today. I'm going to use stencil 2, 3, and 4 to build up this card. Now, 1 was the first stencil I had in my hand, and you can use that by itself, and I'll show you that in a card a little bit later on. So first we're going to start with powder. Now I know I have powder paper here. So you're saying, Dana, why are you using the colored cardstock? Because this is going to allow me to have 2 shades of this blue. So my stems and all of my outlines here are going to be that lighter powder blue. And by adding on the powder ink, it just gives this some depth. And I don't have to work so hard on blending my color. So if you want to kind of recreate something and not have to put in a lot of work when it comes down to adding a lot of ink to your ink blending, start off with colored cardstock. It really does make things a lot easier. Now, since I have this blended complete, I can go ahead and pull off this stencil. And you're going to see what I mean by I have the 2 pretty blue colors. See how my background is not white, but it's that nice shade of blue. That's a great way to kind of build up a dramatic card without, like I said, putting a lot of work. And as you can see, these stencils line up very easily. So you can see I'm lining up where I see just the lighter parts of the cardstock. That's what we're going to fill in with our next color of ink. Now, this next color, I really love putting on this blue. This parsley color looks great on this light blue. Now, if you are going to do this, I would suggest keeping in mind the color cardstock that you're starting with, because you want to make sure that the color that you put on top is going to blend nicely with it. So let me just go over a few things really quickly. When we get to the middle part of this video, this card panel might look a little bit different. I was so excited to start playing with these that I forgot to record the first session. So when I die cut this down, it might have a little bit of variation, but it pretty much looks the same. But I just wanted to mention that just in case you thought like, hey, some of these colors just look a little bit brighter or a little bit more muted. Yeah, it's because I got excited and totally forgot to record the first part of this. So I had to re-record it. Yeah, that's the kind of Monday I'm having today. All right, I'm gonna pull this layer off and look how gorgeous this is. It's so pretty. And I love the light blue outline instead of the white outline. I can go ahead and set that stencil aside. And then we're going to bring in stencil number 4. Number 4 is the one that's going to be the berries. Now, this as well is super easy to line up. You're just lining it up to the area that is light blue. Now, all the products that I have today are going to be linked in the description box below. So you guys are going to be able to grab those. I do use affiliate links, and affiliate links do help me keep up my channel as well as help me to buy supplies for anything that I'm creating here on YouTube. And I thank you guys for using those links because they really do help me out. Now I'm going to come in with that poppy color. Again, I kept in mind what this red color would look like on this blue. So I just kind of want to just kind of drill that in a little bit, that you just want to make sure that the color that you're putting on top is going to work well with the color that's underneath. Because you don't want to end up putting down colors that kind of look like mud when you're done. All right, we can finish this up and then we can do the peel and reveal. And look how pretty this is, you guys. Ooh, it's so pretty. I absolutely love this stencil. Okay, so you can see I have a very large piece of cardstock here. So I could do a 5x7 card if I wanted to here, but I want to break this panel down. So I'm going to use my A2 layering dies from Waffle Flower. And this is going to allow me to get 2 cards out of this. So normally I might, die cut one large piece and one small piece, but this time I wanted to kind of make a different design on my card. So you'll see that when I pull out these dies. So the first die I'm going to pull out is going to give me a large panel. And that's perfect. That's going to fill up a regular A2 card nicely. But now for this section down here, I wanted to kind of build this up a little bit different, where I can have like layering pieces. So remember, if you have a stencil that's this big, kind of create a different design out of it, kind of stretch your process of how you create to build something different instead of just having 2 card panels. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this sample here when we make this card. So I'm just kind of pulling out some dies, getting down some areas that I think will look good when they're die cut and built upon each other. And then I can go ahead and run this through my die cutting machine. Now, remember where I said, yep, I forgot to record the beginning part? This is where it happened, you guys. So I did trim out my pieces, or rather die cut out my pieces, and I did back those pieces with some poppy cardstock. I think that poppy cardstock really gives a nice border around these pieces. Now I am just going to score some A2 card bases here. And I pre-cut down my panels. If I don't use ones that are already made, I just pre-cut them down and then I can score them and not have to worry about cutting down the cardstock and then scoring the bases. So if you're going to be mass producing any holiday cards this year, I would highly, highly suggest that you go ahead and do this in advance because it is truly a time saver. Now, I do like to come back in with another bone folder, like the Teflon bone folder, because that gives me like a really great crease on my cards. All right, now it's time to build up our first card. So remember I said I wanted to have those panels that was different than just having one large panel on my card. By doing this, I have allowed myself to create a really pretty design on here. Now, I did go ahead and die cut out that joy from the layered frames die, and now I have these gorgeous pieces to build up. Beautiful card design. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange this first to see how I like it. So as you can see, it is the same stencil design, right? You're just seeing it a little bit differently. And that's what I like about having this extra large layering die. It's just perfect for doing this. And then I have my little sentiment that I can put on the bottom. Now for this, I did want to add some height. So I am going to use some foam tape. Now, anytime you're layering something on top of each other, you got to keep in mind how you're going to layer this. So once I put down my first panel, my second panel, I don't want to have the same amount of foam tape on it. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and put this piece right here onto the back. And using this kind of wider foam tape also helps me out without having to use like little strips. So I can go ahead and flip this over and then put this down on my card. Now, remember when I said when you're putting down panels one on top of the other, you don't want to use the same amount of foam tape. So once I get this panel down here, my next panel, I do not want foam tape running on top of the design and then over because then my design's going to be uneven. So at this point, I know whatever part that is laying off of the design is going to have the foam tape. The part that's laying on the design is not going to have the foam tape. So I'll go ahead and flip this over and you can see I'm only putting foam tape to one part of this. I can go ahead and cut this off and then the side that does not have foam tape on it, I am actually going to add some glue and that's going to adhere it down to the piece that's already stenciled. So I can go ahead and pull that off. I will grab my glue and I'm only adding that glue to the part that does not have the foam tape. All right, now I can go ahead and line that up and I'm bumping it right against this card piece here where I feel the foam. And now we have this great design. Now this piece that's going on top, now this piece is going to lay flat because the pieces underneath it are flat. So just be careful when you're doing this kind of building up or stacking up of your dies that you don't put foam tape where your design will be a little bit off. So now I'm just going to grab some thinner foam tapes here and we can go ahead and pop this one straight across because again, that design is even. I can go ahead and bring that down and line that up right there with just a tad bit of it hanging off on the right side, but that's okay because it's not enough that it's going to touch the paper underneath. So now we have this gorgeous design and now we can go ahead and add in that sentiment. Now for the sentiment here, I did die cut this out 3 times just so it could have a little bit of thickness to it. And then I can go ahead and pop in that joy. And look how pretty this card is. And that rectangle design is kind of fluent throughout this card. So building this up like this really does give you a cool design that if you just made 2 panels. Now to finish off this card, I am going to use some poppy enamel dots and I'm just going to sprinkle just a few of these on this card just to carry on that beautiful red color. And just a few of these are just going to be the finishing touch on this card. I really, really love how this design came out and I liked that carrying in those enamel dots kind of carried in that berry look just a little bit. All right, I want to add one more element to this card. I'm just going to add in a little bit of sparkle on just some of the berries, not all of them. I think just having a little bit of sparkle to this card really sets it off nicely. Now, for our second card today, I decided to use vellum because remember, we have that large panel and I really don't want to cover up too much of it. So by using vellum, it's going to allow me to add a greeting without really blocking too much. So I'm going to go ahead and prep this because I will be doing some heat embossing and I'm using that gorgeous Merry Christmas from the Merry Greetings Builder stamps. Excuse my head. I just want to make sure I get that lined up and then I can close this down. Now, I also think that this would be absolutely gorgeous if it was done in gold embossing powder. Today, I'm choosing to just use white. So I will use my Versamark ink. Go ahead and get this stamped up. Now, I did stamp this twice because I just wanted to make sure that I had a very good impression before I end up putting my embossing powder to this. Because remember, once you put that embossing powder done, you're kind of screwed if you don't have a good crisp image. I'm so sorry that the video got really, really bright when I was doing this white embossing powder. I'm going to go ahead and tap off the rest of that into my container and look what a gorgeous sentiment we have. Now all we have to do is heat set this and die cut it out. Now, to die cut out this image, I am using the coordinating die. I would highly suggest if you want this to be a pristine die cut image, you really need to get the coordinating dies. I know sometimes people are like, well, they're too expensive. I highly, highly, highly suggest that you get them for this stamp and die bundle because I think it will be absolutely worth the money. So I can go ahead and line it up and run that through my machine. Now look how gorgeous that is. And the reason I say that because it's nice and even and there's no fussy cutting involved here. So now I have my large panel and I have my sentiment. And because I did it on the vellum, it does not really block too much of the background. So I'm just trying to figure out which orientation I want this. And now I'm going to bring in my create a sticker. I've had this little machine like forever and it does wonders when I'm using vellum and I need to make that vellum into a sticker because we know how hard it is to use glue behind vellum. So having one of these little handy dandy machines that turn a vellum piece into a sticker is perfect. But you can also use this on regular cardstock as well. I find that I mostly use it when I'm using vellum. This works perfectly as well if you want to make a lot of things tacky as a sticker. Instead of using glue, you can just line them up and run them through this machine and they work fantastic and they do not fall off. All right, I can go ahead and line it up on my card panel. And then look how pretty this is. I absolutely love how this came out. Now I did get a little bit of extra glue, but I can just go ahead and run my fingers over that and brush that off. Now, this is such a gorgeous card panel. Oh, I cannot tell you how much I love this layering stencil. It is going to be on rotation for my holiday cards. I can go ahead and put this onto a white card base and we have one gorgeous card. Remember, we started out, you guys, with just one big stencil. That stencil is a 6x9 stencil, and we were able to get 2 cards out of this. So I'll go ahead and line that up, place that down, and look how gorgeous this is. And again, we got 2 cards out of this. Now remember, I think I said earlier in the video, I did make another card using this stencil, and I did not record that part. I was just really having fun in my craft room. So like I said, this stencil is going to be on rotation. So as you can see here, I have a tone on tone cardstock. And this panel was done by using stencil number 1 in the pack. Now, the sentiment that I used, it's from the Merry Trees die and the coordinating stamp set. So look how gorgeous this looks. A very, very monochromatic color palette, but I did add in a little bit of red to fill in those berries with a Olo marker. But I absolutely love this, and I see myself doing a soft color palette like this very quickly for my holiday cards. This will come together so fast. All right, everybody, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. And I want to give a great shout out to Kristina and Greg at Concord and Ninth for teaming up with each other and creating this line. I cannot wait to see what else happens with this great collaboration. Here are the 3 cards we made today. Again, just using a beautiful layering stencil. All right, everybody, I have some videos here that you guys can watch, and I will see you again very, very soon in another video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.